Good morning. Good morning. The day has finally arrived. I understand that this concept of a third track actually dates back to when Newsday called for it back in the 1940s. Is that possible? Anybody remember reading that? No. Hopefully none of you are that old, but that's the folklore, and I'll stick with that. This is an exciting day, and I first of all want to acknowledge some of the individuals who are here, starting with Jano Lieber. He'll be speaking shortly, but what an amazing leader, helping get this over the finish line, and truly is a visionary, the person who's met the moment of this day and made sure that we're doing everything we can to be responsive and adapt to the needs of this incredible place known as Long Island. I also want to recognize Kathy Rinaldi, the president of the LIRR, who's been doing an amazing job stepping into a lot of ongoing projects, but getting the job done. Anthony Simon, the general chairman of SMART, representing some of the hardest working men and women in labor today. Thank you. And also we'll be hearing from someone named Robin Allen, who has a very powerful story to tell about the impact that projects like these actually have in real people's lives. That elusive concept called time. What time means when you can have more time back in your lives because of the transportation systems that actually work for you. And it's not just being there on time and saving time, it's also having an experience of going through beautiful stations and having connectivity. So that's what this is all about. I just had a chance to ride a little bit of the train. Had a nice time, met some very friendly people. Long Island's a really friendly place. But also to recognize, I know everybody's acknowledged, but I do want to give a special shout out to Steve Ballone as well. What a leader he has been, truly. Also, I know a lot of people were behind this way back. I mean, I mentioned Newsday, there's been elected officials. I give, credit to the past administration that started under my predecessor. Also, at the time, Majority Leader John Flanagan was really a driver behind this project, and I want to thank him for making sure that the resources are there. But also, you got local leaders. I come out of local government. You need the buy-in from the local mayors and the supervisors, and Mayor Pete Cavallaro, I want to thank you, Mayor Pete. We have our own Mayor Pete, so I want to thank you for really breaking down the barriers and sort of the human reaction where people are opposed change, they don't understand it, they don't welcome change, and you have really been a visionary to make sure that people here in Long Island benefit from projects like these, but also I commend you for being a leader in projects like transit-oriented development, building over 200 homes for people right here, so you don't need a car. You can live here, take the trains in, and I want to thank you for doing that as well. So here's also what we're talking about. We also talk about the many phases of this project, and as Lieutenant Governor, I was able to be there for much of the ceremony, and I was there when we were in North Hempstead to do the first bridge replacement at Cherry Lane. And now we finally have nearly 10 miles, a stretch of the LIRR main line from Floral Park to Hicksville. This was just a dream. I mean, you really have to appreciate that this was so visionary and actually got done. And so I want to thank everybody who was part of this challenge, overcame the hurdles, and really having the guts to complete it during a pandemic. Let me put an exclamation point on that. The workers showed up. The men and women of labor, the team from MTA, people from SMART, they showed up during a pandemic so we could be here today. And what does this mean for Long Islanders? Well, it's great. They all start with the letter F. Fewer delays, faster commutes, and more frequent trips. I think that just about gives us an A for all those. Not an F, that's an A. And I want to thank everybody who made sure that we can work on that. So today we give you back a gift, the gift of time, but also, when we have the East Side Access Project complete in Grand Central Madison, opens later this year, we're going to see a 40% increase in LIRR service. I mean, that's astounding. 40% increase. In Westbury alone, it'll go from 64 trains on weekdays to 95. You'll save commuters heading into East Midtown up to 40 minutes a day. Now, what would you do with an extra 40 minutes a day? Probably exercise, take some walks, listen to podcasts, maybe pack up your kids' lunch in the morning, spend a little more time with your family, because time is priceless. Can you imagine 40 more minutes in your day? But this third track didn't just improve train service, it improves the experience on the trains themselves. I just rode one, and Robin and I were talking about the fact that you could actually charge your cell phone on the train, so you're not held captive to going into the station and running along the floor trying to find an outlet, and we've all lived that experience. More ADA accessibility, including ADA accessible underpasses. More cameras for safety. Jano and I announced this a couple weeks ago. We want our customers to feel safe every single time they're in any part of our entire infrastructure system, our commuting system. And it starts with putting trains and cameras right on the trains themselves. So I said we have more Wi-Fi stations, more charging stations, shelters and benches and longer platforms, more bike racks so you can ride your bike there, plazas with green space, and more commuter parking. The parking garage we're in right now, which was MTA funded. So all of these changes are going to make an incredible change for our commuters. And also the part I love as well, the jobs that were created with this project, over 1,300 full-time construction jobs right here in Nassau County. And also creating relationships and partnerships with the neighboring communities to help them as well, and replacing, and I want to thank the neighbors too. A lot of times neighbors can be not real excited about changes like this coming to their neighborhood, the disruption, the construction projects. We had to replace 7 bridges and eliminate 8 street-level grade crossings. And so what that does for the neighbors, we had to put up a little bit, it eliminates the sounds of train horns and crossing bells, and just lets you sleep a little bit better. So that is also a quality of life issue. But we also engaged the neighbors and allowed them to rate the experience they were having, right, Jano? They actually gave scorecards to the projects, and the people in charge of it were evaluated based on what the neighbors said about the project. This is a whole new way of thinking about how government does its work. And so I want to thank everybody who came up with the ideas, but also the responsiveness to the neighbors as well. So we're going to have fewer cars on the road, more reliable transit options, 53 reverse peak trains every weekday. I mean, this is visionary. And I want to thank people like Robin Allen. You can hear from Shirley. She's going to talk about what this does to her commuting experience as well. She works at 1199. She's a home health care aide, Robin. We just talked about that experience. God bless the home health care aides who allow our seniors to age in place. And her parents are living down in Fort Myers right now. We send our prayers to all of our friends in Florida. But Robin, I can't wait to hear you talk about what this does for people with jobs like yours, so you can have the reliability you need and the speed you need to get to your job and get a little bit back in your life. So it'll lead to stronger communities, stronger neighborhoods, and all of a sudden, and this is Jano's favorite line, I'm sure he wants to say it himself, but we are under budget. We are under budget. Congratulations. About $100 million under budget. Ahead of schedule, under budget. That's every time I say Jano LIRR, ahead of schedule, under budget. That's sort of the narrative, so don't change that. So we're building the future right here, and it's a huge, huge milestone for commuters and visitors alike. And again, this is part of over $17 billion worth of projects underway, 100 projects to transform and modernize the LIRR. So I can't wait to keep riding it, and I look forward to many more opportunities like this, but this is the completion of a long, long ride, and it stopped right here in Westbury. And again, congratulations to everybody who had a part to play in this, and we are transforming people's lives every single day. So Jano LIRR, come on up and tell us how exciting and how easy it was to get this done.
Wow. Governor, tough act to follow, that governor. Thank you. Thank you for being here today, but thank you for, you were gracious to acknowledge the folks who work on this before you became the governor. But let me tell you, Kathy Hochul was here long before she became the governor. She was here when we celebrated the first bridge replacement at Cherry Lane. You were here for the milestone at School Street. Driving rain, not unlike the weekend we just had, you were here. You were on top of this project from very early on. And now I'm so thrilled that you are here and that everybody's here to celebrate and to cut the ribbon for a finished project. That finished project, a 10-mile project stretching from Floral Park to Hicksville. You said it, Governor, 7 bridge replacements, 8 grade crossing eliminations, 5 station renewals, on time, under budget. That's the new MTA in action. As I always say, faster, better, cheaper, and we will try to keep giving you opportunities to talk about that. But just think about the scope. No one had ever talked about doing a project of this incredible variety, all those bridges, all those undergrade crossings, and to do it on a 10-mile range. And I just want to say, as we were coming out, I said to our friend Anthony Simon, representing so many of the workers at the Long Island Railroad, we could not have done it without the Long Island Railroad workers, so a big hand for all of them. There's so many folks here representing labor, so many folks representing the trades, and I just want to acknowledge some of them because really can't be underestimated the role that they've had. In addition to Anthony Simon, from the sheet metal workers, Craig Tellini, from BRS, Mike Sullivan, the general chairman, from the BLE, Kevin Sexton, the general chairman, Ricky Sanchez, the general chairman of IBEW, the URSA vice president, Chris Darpa, and TCU's Henry Felton. A big hand for all of the folks. We also have to acknowledge the incredible role played by the construction team. This was a joint venture of some really first-class companies. They called themselves Third Track Constructors, but it was made up of Pacone, Dragados, CC Civil, and Long Island's own Halmar Construction, who did an especially amazing job. Thank you to the construction team, wherever you are. This is a new chapter in Long Island Railroad history. We always come back to the fact that the railroads went into business when Long Island had 47,000 residents and now has 3.2 million. And it's time that we grow service as we are trying to fight climate change under Kathy Hochul's leadership. We need to make mass transit the first choice, not just a second and inferior option. And that's why increasing schedules, frequency, and reliability across the entire railroad is so important. And I'm so blessed to have Kathy Rinaldi, a native Long Islander, who had played senior roles at the Long Island Railroad before she went on to play senior roles at the whole MTA and to run Metro North, to step in and take leadership at this time. Service, let's just talk about the scale of this service increase. Service between Jamaica and Manhattan is going to be roughly equivalent to the Lexington Avenue subway, which is the biggest subway line in the United States by a lot. That means you're literally going to be standing on the platforms in Jamaica, and there's going to be a train coming every 2 minutes. That really is a change. It makes mass transit commuting really, really different. Reverse commuting, again, we're going to hear from Robin, but that's huge for the Long Island economy because now you really can draw on the full talent pool of the entire region. All those people living in New York City or places to the west who really didn't have that much service coming out in the morning will have a lot more service. And that's what Governor Hochul was talking about when she talked about those 53 additional reverse peak trains on the main line. That's how you create economic growth. And don't forget that we're just months away from the first 8-track railroad terminal in the United States since literally the 1950s. And it's going to take Long Islanders to Grand Central Terminal, a long-held dream that's going to save people. And the governor talks about it all the time, the impact on families and on people's everyday lives of being able to save 40 minutes plus every day and to have the additional service. We all hear about the Gateway project in the Hudson, on the new tunnel on the Hudson River, which is really important. This is, the East Side Access Project is our gateway for Long Islanders, a second option to get across the East River and provide redundancy in the event of an emergency. That's an incredible transformative moment, and we're going to get that in just a couple of months. It was as the governor said, for a long time, people didn't expect this project to happen. There were a lot of reasons that people resisted it, but we proved everybody wrong, and we are so grateful for the support of everybody here today, but especially I have to acknowledge the elected officials who have been really stand up for this project and for the effort to grow Long Island Railroad service. Senator Anna Kaplan, thank you. Senator Kevin Thomas, thank you. Assemblymember Michelle Solagis, thank you. Assemblymember Charles Levine, thank you. And all the mayors who have played such an important role in working with the team to make sure we did a decent job of coordinating and minimizing impacts and working closely with the communities. Just to add a word about Mayor Cavallaro. You know, we have that really transformative and standard-setting transit-oriented development project going here, and it's only because we had a visionary leader in this town who was planning a rezoning to make downtown more walkable and more dynamic and more future-oriented and more the kind of place that young families and seniors could have the opportunity to stay in. So thank you, Mayor Cavallaro, for your partnership. There's many others to thank. My job, which I've just been given, is to let you guys know that there is a commemorative spike to be handed out at the end. And we're all going to take pictures with it. And I hope we have enough for everybody, but if we don't, the MTA will go back and do a second run. So thank you all for being here and for supporting this project the way we needed to get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, the president, the interim president, but for me, the president of the Long Island Railroad, Kathy Rinaldi.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jano. Thank you so much, Governor Hochul, for joining us today on this historic day for the Long Island Railroad. The completion of the new third track is a key to our efforts to completely transform Long Island Railroad service and the Long Island Railroad customer experience. With every individual project that was completed as part of third track, there's been a benefit to our customers and to our communities. Bridge replacements, grade crossing eliminations that have reduced events that cause major delays, like bridge strikes or incidents caused by cars on the tracks. And now, with the last leg of third track having been completed, we are able to deliver on the best benefit of all, more frequent Long Island Railroad service in two directions. I want to thank Long Island Railroad employees, past and present, who advocated for this project for many years and who supported the project once it was underway. We could not have done it without them. And I want to especially thank two former Long Island Railroad presidents who are here today, my former boss, Helena Williams, as well as Phil Ann. I also want to thank the members of the C&D team, many of whom used to be Long Island Railroad employees. There was an unbelievable partnership between the C&D team and the Long Island Railroad that helped us get to this point. I want to especially call out Anthony Tufano and his wonderful team at C&D. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And now, as the governor and as Jano have said, it is full steam ahead to Grand Central Madison. Both this project and that project together will allow us to run more service on the main line. As Jano said, our new timetables will effectively double service during the off-peak. This is going to give not only Long Islanders, but also reverse commuters like Robin from the city more options to get to work and to other destinations across Long Island. I am passionate about Long Island. I've been spending a lot of time on Long Island for the past few months. I grew up here. There are incredible transportation options all around here between the main line and the Hempstead branch just a few miles away. The island is also blessed with many, many passionate advocates and people who have helped make today possible. I've already acknowledged the two former presidents of the Long Island Railroad. I want to acknowledge a bunch of other people whose advocacy got us to this point today. Kevin Law from Empire State Development. Matt Cohen from the Long Island Association, Mark Herbst from the Long Island Contractors Association, Kyle Strober from the Association for a Better Long Island, former MTA board member Mitch Pally from the Long Island Builders Institute, Ryan Stanton from the Long Island Federation of Labor, Vincent Albanese in LIUNA, Lisa Black, Suffolk County Deputy Chief County Executive, Nancy Jazinas, President of the Roush Foundation, and Dave Capel of the Right Track Coalition. Thank you all so much for your passionate support for the project. We would not be here without you. Together, we are finally bringing the Long Island Railroad into the 21st century. It's a great place to be. Now I'll turn things over to my good friend, Smart General Chairman Anthony Simon. Thank you.
See, Governor, they're here for me too. So thank you, everyone. I didn't prepare any remarks. This is a great, great day for our organization, for the men and women of labor, to see this completion. It was not easy getting together to make it happen. It takes a collective group of officials, of labor, and we did it. And they talk about on time and under budget. On time and under budget, as long as you keep using labor, you'll get it on time and under budget. Our good friends from the building trades, Matty Arasech, President, Long Island Fed, John Durso, together, we knew what this community needed. The community is what it's all about. The commuters are what it's all about. It's not about us. We say it all the time. If you want it built and you want it built right and on time and under budget, let us do it. But we couldn't do that without the leadership of our great Governor Hochul. She has stood by us every step of the way. She has been the best partner that labor could have and will have in the future. So we thank you all for being here. We thank you for the support. I have to mention a few people that I've worked with, because I have 32 years and I've been here that long, and we've been talking about it forever. Helena Williams, the president, from when I sat down at breakfast with her and said we need to get this done, and she's here now to see completion, and I'm proud to be with you again. My good friend who I've been through a lot with, and he is here today, and I'm glad to see him from the other side of the party, which never has a party, and he's always doing the right thing. Senator Flanagan, from the start. Thank you, Senator Flanagan. And then he came in to pick up the pieces with me to make sure this got completed, was Phil Ang. Phil, thank you for your leadership. While we had to navigate so many different waters, we navigated them all, and it was a great success story. And I'm not going to keep talking because I have so many stories to tell you of how we got here and how amazing it feels to be here during the completion. It is going to do so much for this community, so much even for the hecklers. It's going to do so much for so many people, for the reverse commute, for congestion on the railroad, for so much that is going to be better for all of us. And I am so proud to be here to say this is definitely an infrastructure project that is history, and I am proud to be part of that. Now I'm going to invite someone up to speak that is probably more important than all of us. She works out there in the home care industry, taking care of our people, our grandparents, our parents, when they need it most. She needs to get back and forth. So the reverse commute to her is so important. She is the real part of the story. She is why we did this, part of the reason why we're here today. And I am proud, Robin Allen, to have you here today to join us and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I come from Woodside, New York. I commute to Long Island every day because I go to Mineola where I have a client. She's 86 years old. She's, homebound, so I help her with her daily living skills and activities. I appreciate the Long Island Railroad because the commute to work is much easier, it's also safer, and like I said, I always need to charge my phone, so I appreciate that. And I don't know what else you want to know.